Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here. Welcome back to the Forge Delights Forever promotional series. I know I haven't said it in ages. It feels like an age, guys. No cast on Friday, no cast yesterday, so it's like 4 days essentially we've all been without. I do apologize. I have a good excuse, and I know I say that every time, but this time I really do. I've essentially had my head in a toilet for the last 4 or 5 days. I know that's probably more information than any of you guys wanted, but here at Gylecast we're very open and honest, so we have those secrets. It has, seriously guys, it's been ropey. It's been rough. It has been the mother of all gastrointestinal nightmares. Yes, it's been so bad, it's added extra syllables to my colon. That's how bad it's been. Gastrointestinal nightmares, that's what I was going for there. But anyway, to change the subject onto something slightly less gross and more pertinent, strategy gaming, namely SOCCOM, and today I have a custom 4v4 coming your way on Island 0. So without any more of this ridiculous to do, let's go over to the team zone and see how these guys are going to get on. Love me some Island 0. I know you guys do too, so I'm sure you're excited. We'll call this Team 1 up here at the top as usual, and Team 2 down at the bottom. And if we bring up our handy little score sheet or player sheet, which half of you love and the other half despise, but we're doing it anyway because I can't think of anything better. Up here at the back for Team 1 in Elephantine Grey, going UEF, opening first land. It's BC's Nooved, and then to his right at the northern naval position it's Gullum. He's going baby blue, opening first land and going Seraphim. And then down at the lagoon position down here thirdly for Team 1 it's Lame, and I definitely haven't cast him before. I'm sure I'd remember a name like that unless he's changed it from something else, that is of course. He's going Cybrin, opening Hallyborange orange first land. And last but not least for Team 1 over here in Regal Purple, it's Music, and he's going UEF, opening first land as well. So that's Team 1. So UEF, a Cybrin, sorry, 2 UEF, a Cybrin and a Seraphim. I'd love for the A on that. And for Team 2 down here at the back in SWAT Team Green, it's Shimras. He's going Cybrin, opening first land. Northern naval position goes to Artifacts. He's in Mellow Yellow Cybrin as well, opening first land. Thirdly for Team 2 it's Build More Tanks in Ferrari Red, going Seraphim, opening first land. Second Navy, not a bad choice I guess, as long as you can. It's probably not, because I don't think he's going to have the eco to build anything out of that straight off the bat, so he could have put that off slightly really. Last but not least, Pontiff White, it's Mr. Scion. He's already way up here, going to bag that early mass, and he's opening first land, going UEF as well. So those are the players and how they stack up. And we can already see that Scion going straight for that wreck there. Is that a Salem? I should know that really by now. It's not. It's actually a Siren class cruiser, so there should be a ton of mass sitting in there for him. Music going for these smaller land-based wrecks first of all. You can see how long it takes Scion to suck up that mass for his team, but he's managed it nonetheless. And he's not actually getting a great deal of support ACU-wise from the rest of his team, and that could cause a slight problem, because you can see this looks like it's developing into a triple ACU push now from Team 1. Music and Scion going to make contact with the 2 ACUs in the middle, but he's got Gullum and Lame bearing down him as well, Zion, so that could get very tricky for him very fast indeed. We'll have a look at what mass they've banked so far for their team. 1700 mass there for Zion. You see him full barring and not having enough power to make use of that mass for the moment. That's to be expected really on this map with all the mass lying around. And how's he done against Music? Music has banked around 1200, so a little bit of a extra mass dump there for Team 2's favour. And to counteract where they're going to be short in the middle, he has got Artifacts now in support, but more importantly, you usually see this from at least one of the ACUs at the lagoon position. Very often you see it from both. Build More Tanks has crossed the lagoon. It means his build capacity will be out of the base for a little bit longer. He'll be out there for had to have started out a little bit earlier, so his base building will suffer. That's why he's down on 1.3k short stacking on store, but it does mean that he should be able to affect a large amount of damage on Lame's base with his ACU away from home as well, harassing Team 2's ACUs down in the middle. It means he won't be able to defend at all, so Build More Tanks will probably have a pretty good field day with all the units in here. Yes, there are 5 Mantis on the ground, but that's not going to cause him any problems at all. can deal with these units of build capacity and stop this point defense from getting finished off, that's going to be a nice little early win down here, or up here I should say, for Team 2, I think. But they are facing overwhelming odds in the middle. 3 versus 2. Lane getting driven into the water for the moment. We've got 3 ACUs of the 5 down into the yellow. Lame looking the most peaky. In fact, Zion looking around about the same kind of level. Both these guys on around 5,300, 200, 300 hit points between them. Gullum now down into the yellow as well, 7,800 for him. Artifact 6,500. Music alternatively looking rather healthy. And you can see not really much going on from this naval facility. The only naval facility from Build More Tanks just getting extra units of build capacity together there for the moment, but no super early boats. We have got a couple of naval factories in place down here in the bottom right, so it looks like Team 2 going for more of a naval build than Team 1. There's not a single naval factory in play yet from them, and Zion asking for more ACU reinforcements. He doesn't like this whole, what is it, Noob's turn up as well, so it's 4v2 at the moment in the middle. Shimras is now at least coming to aid the situation. Better late than never. But how are things going to be looking? Well, too bad. Lane's taken the brunt of their attack. He's down to around 3,200. 3,500 for Scion. Artifacts down to 3,800, but Music and Nuve looking pretty healthy. Gullum's taken a pounding or kicking. He's on around 5,000 and looks like he's heading back for the moment. But look at what's happened to Lane's base. He's about to lose a T2 mechs, which will be really annoying, and that will also present a nice little structure there for Build More Tanks to grab some extra mass from. You can see a handful of Mantis turning up to put some damage on Build More Tanks, but I'm sure as soon as he finishes sucking up the mass from that wreck, he will destroy those Mantis without any trouble. Zion down into the red though, 2,300, and we've got some units of the build capacity coming out of the naval factory here from Build More Tanks, focusing on spamming together some torpedo launchers, and Zion going to build one as well, and this could be crucial because this is going to eliminate the water as a safe haven for Team 1's ACUs to hide from, so they're not going to be able to back into the water when they get into trouble. Nuve taking a little bit of extra damage now as a few more Mantis turn up there from Artifacts. Shimras focusing quite heavily on his commander, and so is Artifacts for the moment. That torpedo launcher being constructed by San looks to be around 50% complete, and the build capacity back here has finished that other one. You see that first volley of torpedoes going off towards Gullum's comms, so this is rapidly becoming a no-go zone for Team 1's commanders. They could potentially get in there and start reclaiming them under the water, but only if they move now. Nuved is already down into the red, so that's probably not a good idea for him. He would take too much damage in the process and potentially die. Artifacts down under 3,000 hit points now, and these guys have to be very careful. But the mother of all Zui push is happening on the right-hand side of the land mass here from Gullum. He is storming in. It looks like he's beelining straight for Artifacts' territory. There's a lot of build capacity down here he could cause problems with. He could knock out a lot of these mechs. There's some juicy T2 targets down here he could go for. The question is, can he keep them alive long enough? Shimras wheeling right with his commander there. And Build More Tanks has had enough of his little damaging mission. He's done all the work that he thinks he can do. He's taken out the 4 core mexes. He's knocked down a bunch of build capacity. He was taking damage, I think, from the bombers overhead from BC's Nuved. And there's already a Stinger in the air now as well, so he's made the transition to T2 air. Doesn't want to hang about any longer than necessary. But look at this, Artifacts and Scion both looking incredibly peaky down in the red there on their ACUs. Shimras looking a little bit better. He's on around 5,300 HP. And they're doing a decent job of holding off this ACU push. It's essentially been a quadruple ACU push for the best part of this. But looks like Lame has backed off now. He's on an ACU upgrade back here. Probably wants to get some hit points back. We've got a few Jesters making life difficult for BC's Nuve here. He's down under 2,000 hit points. Another Jester turns up as well. He's brought one of his own Interceptors and now a pack of them in to deal with them. But there's also submarines, some Suicidals present there from Build More Tanks. This is going to make life very difficult for Nuve. He's going to have to be really careful if he wants to get out of this one alive. We could be about to see the first ejection from this game. 600 hit points left on the clock. He's about to re-emerge from the water. He'll take one more volley of torps maybe, down to 500 hit points. He emerges back onto the beach, but thankfully his interceptors did the job and knocked down enough of Shimras's jesters there. So he wasn't going to be taking any extra T1 gunship fire. He's going to back up the hell out of there. I do not blame him. 700 hit points on the tank and climbing. Just about getting the words out today. It's hard, but words always are. If we slow it right down, take a look at what's going on elsewhere on the map. You can see that it looks like a little bit of a win up here. We've got 2 land factories for Team 1 in play. 1 single solitary engineer who's going on a bit of a reclaim or capping mission there from artifacts. But I doubt he's going to be able to make the full grab. You can see you've already got 1 FAM in place. Nuve still making a run for it. 800 hit points left on the clock there. Actually got that Suicidals moved up to put some damage on Lame. Not sure why he's running away. Doesn't have anything to fear really from these Suis. They of course can't target underwater structures at all. I'm actually amazed that no ACUs went down there. Another round of jesters in though from Shimras, this time focusing on music. I'm surprised they're not beelining straight for Nuve's comm, and Nuve is going to bring in his stingers to help alleviate some of the ground pressure here. Only problem is that Build More Tanks is bringing in some mobile anti-air in this pack as well, so he's going to discourage him from hanging about. But look at the amount of Zuis on the field now from Gullum. They're heading south this time, and looks like they might be primarying the frigates that are emerging now out of Build More Tanks' base. There's 1 frigate on the field. Build More Tanks is going to want to continue to micro. He's not going to want to take extra volleys. A whole round coming in, and that's going to be really annoying. He's going to lose that. And of course, being floating units, these T1 torpedo launchers absolutely useless. Not going to be able to do anything about those. Looks like they might conceivably be able to take out this naval factory. But we're seeing the transition into T2 tech on the ground there from music complete. Mongoose is emerging in the pack. Golem coming back to the front lines with his ACU, and so is Lame. Music on an upgrade, getting caught there by some Mantis coming in there from artifacts. But it's not enough to cause him any real danger. He will not need to cancel that upgrade, I shouldn't think. But that wave of Zuis from Gullum crashing into the naval facility, and down it goes. Artifacts does turn up with some tridents and a sliver. They must have come all the way around the back here. Finally, Team 1 branching into the naval game up here at the back with BC's Nuve. He's got a bunch of build capacity on that naval factory as well, so ploughing through that, helping support that, getting those naval units out as quickly as possible, which is a good thing for them because currently they are way behind. You've got T2 Navy in place here from Shimras. You've got a T1 factory up here for artifacts. You did have, of course, this T1 over here from Build More Tanks, but that's recently been dispatched by this Zui attack from Gullum. Nice work there from him. It's a shame these Zuis couldn't get a firing solution on all this clumped build capacity here. A bunch of T2 engineers from Build More Tanks busily working away on some static defense here, which you could say is an ideal decision there from Build More Tanks, judging by the amount of crap that's coming down this walkway and indeed across the lagoon there from Gollum. But Lame making another push, this time with a whole bunch of slightly more teched up tanky units from music. You've got those Mongoose there, accompanied by a parashield. They're going to be invaluable at ranging a lot of these targets. Lame pushing on, focusing damage onto the ACU of Zion, who also takes a volley of Mongoose fire, goes down to the red there, 2,500 hit points on the clock. And also some Janus, or a Janus from Nuve. So Zion needs to be really careful here. If I were him, I would be beelining for the northern pond. This is the safest place to be. There's not a lot of units here from Team 1 that are going to be able to get them. All you'd have to worry about there would be some torpedo bombers. The amount of stuff that's happened here already at minute 11 is crazy. But Zion taking a lot of fire here. Dancing all over the place. Needs to be really careful. That's a really big push from Gullum. A lot of Zuis coming in, as well as some Mongoose fire. Janus fire from the top as well. Down to 800 hit points. He doesn't want to get hung up on Artifacts' Mantis, which are trying to come in and help the situation. but might conceivably end up getting him killed. And in comes some stingers, and that's going to be all she wrote for Zion. So the forward player there from Team 2 ejected from the game at just 11.5 minutes. Team 2, the first players to, or first team to lose a player there. Incredibly annoying. You see he had a nice little base going at the back here. He was completely out of all options up there at the front. His base had been dismantled by the continuous pressure coming down the land bridge there from Team 1. And I don't believe it. Full share is on, so somewhere a fairy has just died of terminal hemorrhoids. God, I can't believe that. Unbelievable stuff. When will people learn? I joke. I kid. There's nothing wrong with full share. I just can't stand it. Gullum, though, bearing down on the northern pond, wants to potentially overcharge the Salems as they sail past, but I think they've got out of range. This Salem doesn't want to stop here. You can see that's being pinged, and he's not going to get out of there. I thought for a minute he was going to sprout legs and make a mistake, but he made a different one and just stopped for a cup of tea in the water instead. That ACU able to catch up with it and overcharge it in the side of the bows there. And that other Salem going to press on, and this could be really annoying actually for Team 1. Salem could dispatch these units and make life difficult for the naval facility back there as well. I'm sure he'd love to get his trident in on the action there, but a wave of stingers coming in as well might be enough to take the edge off things, so this might not have that much success in the meantime. Of course, doubly useful on a map like this, the Cyberans, that's why you're seeing so many of them. The Salem cruisers, or destroyers rather, being able to sprout their legs, go a walkies, traverse from lagoon to sea. Incredibly useful indeed. And another wave of Zoos coming in from Gullum. He's been really good with the pressure in this game so far. Not really diverse with strategy, but it's doing enough to cause problems. And Artifacts takes a huge volley and loses about 33% of his hit points in one go. Could we about to lose another player for Team 2? 600 points left on the clock. He's under the water for the moment, so temporarily safe. It's Build More Tanks' turn, though, to take the brunt of an attack. A large wave of stingers bearing down on top of the commander there, shedding hit points as we go. It's a lot of hit points to lose in a very short space of time. Remember, we're running this in real time right now. Just 1,400 hit points left on that commander. Artifacts temporarily safe. However, he needs to be careful. Doesn't want to get too close. He could potentially get knocked out by a blast from his teammate's commander there, but he manages to dip under the water. These guys need to keep their head down. But I hope we got some cheeky ground fire going on there. Didn't look like it. Artifacts very low. No, it's not. It's a torpedo bomber over the top from Nooved, and Build More Tanks is incredibly close as well. He can't get out, but they don't want to stay in. It's a no-win situation. One of them has dropped. Who is it? Or both of them have gone. So Team 2 lose their other two players in one almighty flash in the sea there. Nice work there from Team 1. And if there is a saving grace, the fact that full share is on. So Shimras is about to get a large eco injection. There he goes. Up to 121 mass per tick. We haven't focused very much on eco this game, but there's been so much going on. Let's see if the age-old issue with full share comes to shed its light. And if those of you unfamiliar with what I was talking about, there's an interesting thread on the forums about it. A humble argument for full share, it's called. My position was that you far too often see in full share games the player who ends up with everybody's eco can end up coming back far too easily, because eco is so important, of course, in Subcom, and you can use that mass and energy to do more targeted strikes. Torpedo bomber biting the dust there against the Siren class. Does get one torpedo into the hull, however. But yeah, you can use that eco and funnel it more effectively into hurting your opponents than potentially a more fragmented team would be able to do it. So This is my major gripe with full share games, counteracted by the fact that it's Island 0, which is why you're seeing it. I do love this map. It makes for very entertaining games. There's always a lot of action. 15 minutes gone. Feels like we've watched a 25-minute game. From my point of view, I'm thoroughly out of breath. It's always what I like to see. Zooey's coming in there from Gullum, trying to affect some damage against this fleet of Shimras, but not really making any headway with it. Music's got a nice little fire base together here. Got a tac missile launcher and everything ready to unleash blue murder on the eco down here, but he's not going to get the chance because of that crossfire coming from the northern ocean there from Shimras' fleet. It's not just the siren either. You see the range on the destroyers reaching that at that point as well. So now Team 1, despite being ahead the entire game, face a dilemma how to knock off this one player that's got a pretty serious eco going on compared to the rest of them. Obviously their combined eco is higher. Not a lot higher, but it's higher. But that's not everything, and there's a very strong presence on the sea already for Shimras, who's busy wiping out all of the static D that Music has been tinkering away on with such dedication for the last 10 minutes or so. Lots of triads in place, or were in place there, and they've been knocked down. And Nuved's air currently working for them too much either. A couple of stingers hovering out in the middle of the lagoon. They're about to get deaded. A wave of inties there from Shimras. What, if anything, do Team 1 have in store? You see all the time as well, we've got more T2 vessels joining the pile. We've got a couple more destroyers back here. They're holding off down here to finish off these triads. And saving grace for the triads is the the build mounds from the previous factory emplacements are causing height map issues for the fire, the incoming fire from those Salems. It would be probably much more effectively put to use if he sent them back up to shadow these cruisers and these other Salems as well. Torpedo bombers coming in, not going to be effective counter, of course, against this fleet with the two cruisers in place. Not a cost-effective counter, at least. They will be effective in the way, in the sense that they'll be able to knock down the odd ship. But the longer Nuved can hold this at bay, the more time he's got to get his own navy in place. And being as it's a UEF navy with bulwark ships, he should be able to repel this if he can hold it off for long enough. And that's what these torpedo bombers are about. Knock down these cruisers, knock down the damage, and then he can move in with these units later on and take out these Salems. Of course, as torpedo bombers become X amount more effective once those cruisers have been eliminated. But there's also a wave of Zooeys crashing now through Lane's base, comes straight across the lagoon. A second wave coming in as well. It's certainly keeping the other three players busy. Nice work here from Shimras. 20-minute mark. And unfortunately for Team 1, they've made naval contact before they were ready. And I think it's fair to say that's not going to go well for Nuved's navy. He's got 2 destroyers left. 1 destroyer left. That did not last long at all. And that means he's going to lose this naval factory and all of the build capacity about it. He really needs to just get them out of dodge. Attack missiles being launched from a forward base from Mr. Sick. He's determined to use his TAC missiles to some effect, going straight after the Eco down here, Team 2. He's affecting some pretty good damage. You can see he's down to 108 mass per tick there, Shimras. He was on around 120, 130 a little bit earlier on at the exchange. But Nuv is now under major naval pressure with no real way to repel it. That's a player who's actually been very effective for Team 1. He's going to lose that Air Factory HQ at the back there. And all of these rear mass points as well. And I'm sure people think I search for these kind of replays where you get a full share game and the guy who ends up with all of the units at the end ends up winning, but I really don't. It just happens a lot. People didn't believe it in the thread that I was trying to explain it, but it really does happen a lot. And I suppose you could say, well, this game would have been over by now were it not for full share. So in some ways it extends some gameplay and it alters it slightly. So there is a certain argument for it. I just don't think it necessarily promotes fairness 100%. It's just a fundamental aspect of the nature of Supreme Commander and the way the game works. Shimraz hurriedly building point defense down here, just in time, as well as Lame pops his head above the water and starts firing away. But I think he must have stealth gen on board. Take a look at what Shimraz can see. Looks like he's got the cloak there. Indeed it is. Personal stealth generator, not the cloak, but the stealth gen. Causing major headaches for him. He's just on the periphery. And half in the water as well. So it's causing problems for Shimraz. And in fact, we've got all of these guys coming in for an ACU push. They figure the only way they're going to be able to deal with this guy now that he's got so much dominance in this top sea is to go and damage on the ground with all that they've got left, and that's mostly ACUs. A bunch of build capacity coming in to the lagoon here to try and throw together some torpedo launchers. It's going to get wasted though. See the logic behind it. He wants to stem the tide of these ACUs being able to hide in the lagoon and come backwards and forwards as they please. So it's a bold move. They know essentially they can't deal with all of these destroyers and cruisers. There's just too many of them. Their base effectively will be in tatters. We have got some T3 land units coming down as well from Music, but Nuv taking a lot of fire there. He dropped to around 1100 HP. Music taking a lot more fire, dropping down into the red. 3,400 hit points. There's still more fire coming from the side ocean over there, down to 1,000 hit points and falling. Nuv really low as well, just 300 hit points on him. It's going to be close. Who's going to go first? I think it's going to be Music who's going to drop out first for Team 1. That's going to be their first casualty at minute 24. Down he goes. And Music Music is not the only one to go. Nuv goes straight after. And there goes Lame. It's just an apocalyptic flash of doom. All that's left is Gullum. And I cannot for the life of me tell where he is. There he is, and he's got virtually no hit points left. You can see what they were trying to do. They were pretty low on options, really. Cerberus turret from over here wailing away on him will be enough to knock him out. There he goes. What a strange game, but this sort of thing happens all the time in full share. It's not a rare occurrence, and I didn't select this game because it happened either. It just, I get so many replays on full share where it happens, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't show the odd one anyway. And I love Island Zero. I hope you enjoyed that anyway, guys. I certainly did. More to come from me in the future. In the meantime, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle signing out.